The garbage pit of Dracor Prime stank of decay and forgotten dreams. David Martinez held his breath as he descended into the refuse sector, his scanner beeping steadily in search of salvageable tech. As a human scavenger on an alien world, he'd learned to look past the stench and see opportunity where others saw only waste. That's when he heard it. A weak, pitiful chirp coming from beneath a pile of discarded biomatter. David pushed aside rotting carcasses and broken machinery until his gloved hands found something warm. Something alive. He lifted the creature carefully into the dim light of his headlamp, and his breath caught in his throat. A dragon hatchling, no bigger than a house cat, with scales that shimmered between obsidian and deep purple. But something was wrong. The creature's eyes were clouded over, milky white and sightless. Its wings hung at awkward angles, clearly malnourished and weak. Jesus, David whispered. On Dracor Prime, dragons were considered sacred, the apex predators of the galaxy, intelligent and powerful beyond measure. To see one discarded like garbage was unthinkable, yet here it was, abandoned because of its blindness. Imperfect. Worthless in the eyes of its own kind. David made a decision that would change both their lives forever. I've got you. Little one, he murmured, tucking the hatchling inside his jacket. Humans don't leave people behind. Not even tiny dragons. The hatchling chirped again, this time nuzzling weakly against David's chest, seeking warmth. The first weeks were brutal. David's cramped quarters in the human district weren't equipped for dragon care, and his limited credits barely covered his own food, let alone specialized nutrients for a growing predator. But humans were nothing if not resourceful. David named the hatchling Spark, for the tiny flickers of bioelectricity that danced across his scales when he felt safe. He researched obsessively, trading favors with xenobiologists, and bribing dragon scholars for information they shouldn't have shared with a lowly human. He learned that hatchlings needed a specific ratio of proteins and rare minerals. He couldn't afford the commercial formula, so he made his own, grinding supplements he bought from shady markets and mixing them with synthesized proteins. Spark grew slowly, but he grew. The little dragon learned to navigate David's apartment through echolocation, clicking softly as he explored. When David worked on salvaged equipment, Spark would perch on his shoulder, tiny claws gripping the fabric of his shirt, his warm breath tickling David's neck. Good boy, David would say, scratching under Spark's chin. We're doing just fine, aren't we? But the galaxy disagreed. The Dragon Council came 6 months later. 3 massive adult dragons descended on the human district, their scales gleaming like weapons-grade armor, their eyes blazing with ancient intelligence. They landed outside David's workshop with enough force to crack the pavement. Human? The lead dragon rumbled, her voice like grinding consonants. You harbor stolen property. David stood his ground, though his heart hammered against his ribs. Spark clung to his shoulder, trembling but silent. Stolen? I found him in your garbage pit. He was disposed of properly. A blind dragon is a genetic flaw, a liability to our species. A liability? David's voice rose with anger he couldn't contain. He's a living being. You threw him away because he wasn't perfect. You cannot possibly understand dragon culture, human. Maybe not, David said, reaching up to gently stroke Spark's head. But I understand something you've forgotten. Every life has value. Every individual deserves a chance. That's what makes humans different. We don't measure worth by perfection. We measure it by heart. The Dragon Council leader's eyes narrowed. You dare lecture us? I dare defend him. David's jaw set stubbornly. If you want Spark, you'll have to go through me. The dragons exchanged glances. Then impossibly the leader laughed, a sound like rolling thunder. Your species is foolish, human, soft, sentimental. She leaned closer, her breath hot enough to make David sweat. And yet, when the Zerathi invaded your homeworld, you fought with sticks and stones when your weapons failed. When the plague swept through the Andromeda sectors, humans stayed to treat the dying while everyone else fled. You are weak, but you refuse to break. She pulled back, regarding Spark with new eyes. Perhaps there is wisdom in your foolishness. Keep the hatchling. But know this, you have bound yourself to him. His failures are yours. His fate is yours. Good, David said simply. That's how we do things. 5 years passed, Spark grew into a dragon unlike any other. Without sight, he'd developed senses that surpassed even his kin. He could feel the electromagnetic signatures of living beings, taste the composition of air currents, hear heartbeats from 100 meters away. And he refused to leave David's side. When pirates attacked the human district, Spark defended the streets with precision that stunned even the Dragon Council. When David fell ill with Rigelian fever, Spark stayed by his bedside for 3 weeks. His warm body regulated to keep David's temperature stable. They were partners, brothers, family. Now, Spark was the size of a shuttle, capable of carrying David across continents. But every night he compressed his considerable mass through careful positioning, curling around David's modest home, and in his human form, a gift of dragon magic learned through love, he still slept on David's shoulder, just like when he was small. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humans didn't measure worth by perfection. They measured it by loyalty, love, and the unshakable belief that everyone deserved a chance. And sometimes, the trash one species discarded became another's most precious treasure. David scratched behind Spark's ears as the dragon hummed contentedly, a sound like distant thunder. "Good boy," David whispered. "We showed them, didn't we?" Spark's response was a gentle puff of warm air and a deeper nuzzle against his human shoulder. They had indeed shown them, and they weren't done yet.